Okay. Hey, YouTube. Welcome back to the console room. It's the week of December 20th, and we're looking at Build King Chapter 6. So, quick little summary of this one. We are heading towards the Upside Down Castle at Bat Cape or Cape Bat with a little bit more information on Quark and the nature of the castle being released. We also see some light shed on Shovel and his group of people called the Carpenters, or Syndicate as it's referred to. We also get to see a little bit more of the Upside Down Castle, figure out if Tonkachi can actually read blueprints. Spoiler, the answer is no. Big surprise there. And then finally, we actually get a little bit of context, which is kind of cool, for the giant road that was revealed in the last chapter that they've been traveling along. And it actually turns out that this whole road slash the castle is the product of this dragon, which you could kind of argue in and of itself makes it a build king, I would say.
You
So
think so? Oh, that's good.
yeah, I kind of do. Not so nothing too crazy. Just again, we're kind of slowly building up more of the world and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
with that, let's kind of just dive in. What did you I don't know, what did you think? What were your feelings?
Just another big dialogue heavy, big more like this is what this is. This is what that is. I love the redesigns for some reason for her father, King Bat, which is like okay, well now he's like a shorter guy, whatever.
Yeah, he's like chibi-esque. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm very confused by that. Is that legit? Like I don't
Well,
understand.
it's funny that you say that because when you see like the flashback when she's talks to her dad and like he looks different. So it's just I think it's just like an aesthetic of like when he meets other characters. Maybe when he gets serious, it's like okay, he's
Big
just
buff
kind of like
boy. I feel you.
yeah, exactly. It was pretty cool learning about the syndicate. I'm like, that's an interesting title. That's an interesting name, the syndicate. And I guarantee you see the people that are around Shovel, they are like actual characters. They're not just for like flavor text. Like
Oh, I
you
would
know,
assume so. Same
yeah,
kind of idea happened in Toriko, right? It was like, oh, here's like, the gourmand. There was a whole
yeah.
group and we eventually met half of those. So I'd like to think so. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little underwhelmed by the name, the Carpenters. Like,
Yeah.
come on, really, like just the Carpenters.
I mean, what do you
Come on.
want? What do you
I
think? Like,
guess I don't know, man, but like even just some of the Toriko names were, I guess, a little better.
I mean, I disagree. It was more like gourmet corp.
Core, yeah.
Yeah.
There's soldiers and stuff. I don't know, man. It's just like he literally took carpenters and put the in front of it, and I was kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I guess.
But then we see more. I mean, we see more like exterior, like more interior, I should say, for like the castle and everything. And again, I mean, I do say on this point, I do love the comedy in the series. It's just like goofy fun, and I enjoy it. Like, oh, the reason we're not upside down is because we're not trying to get like blood to our head and like our heads will get big. And the reason King Bat is like that, so that's pretty hilarious when they ask the butler. And
Yeah, no.
or like when she introduces the butler and like, oh, this is the all the staff is like, oh wow, they're pretty upset about that. But yeah, it was just a plot. It was not a plot heavy. Sorry, just very dialogue heavy. And I mean, we see him use the Vigord hammer, but maybe he used it improperly. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
that was kind of the thing that I was thinking as well. So, as has previously been established, the Vigor Hammer has, restore and destroy. And I honestly thought they were going to be doing more restoration stuff. I didn't think he was going to be jumping into the whole destruction thing right off the bat. And that was a little surprising for me. I thought it would be going the restore route. No surprise though, he can't read the freaking blueprints. Like I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, I'm gonna segue here a little bit. I get frustrated with main characters that can't even do the role that like they are in the series, if you know what I mean.
mhm.
Like like Tonkachi's a carpenter. The guy can't read blueprints and he can't build a house. Well, he's not a freaking carpenter then, you know what I mean? Like
Well, I
that,
guess he'll grow into it, but yeah, I think that's the point of him. He's just bad at it.
right? So it's like I get it. His whole thing is building intangibles. I get it, but I don't know. If you could have at least read the blueprint, it would have been a little bit of a redeeming quality on my from my perspective. Anyway, going back to, yeah, so I was surprised he couldn't even make a dent, right, with the vigor hammer. And I think that's kind of what led me to kind of quantify this or qualify this, I guess, as a build king, because very clearly the one fang on the dragon is the castle, right? Like that's very, very evident from the
Yeah.
way they're kind of framing all of the panels and whatnot. So, you know, I think we don't know enough about what makes a build king, other than it's kind of survives anything. It is, old as can possibly be. And normally there's a master builder that has some sort of role in creating it. And I would argue that this would have had to have that happen at some point. Again,
Mhm.
tooth of a giant dragon, hangs upside down.
Yeah.
It, like hundreds of thousands of years old and is basically like indestructible, right? Because we've already established that Tonkachi's a beast. So for him not to be able to make a dent, it leads me to believe that this is kind of like, fledgling build king level kind of thing.
Mhm. Um, I think it was pretty actually. It was visually cool to be like, oh, this is made. The roads are like from the bones of a dragon. This huge, like massively long, like Shenron S dragon, which is pretty. And it's funny because like I feel like I've seen that design before in Toriko. I just can't like put my finger on it.
That's fair. I
Um,
think so too.
yeah. So that was a pretty cool. Like, oh wow, like okay, so there was which is believable in this world. Like, yeah, there's this and that, and like, oh yeah, why wouldn't there be? And I'm probably mention this. I'm gonna mention this in every chapter. Why wouldn't there be a giant, God knows how long dragon? And we built towns on top of its
Okay,
bones.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
funny that you mentioned
yeah,
the Shenron reference because I thought a Snake Way. Like when
yeah.
Goku dies and then he's got to
Mhm,
run it
that's a good
back.
point.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I thought as well. So it's kind of funny that we both had, like a Dragon Ball Z or a Dragon Ball kind of
yeah.
recollection with that.
But I guess
Um,
there's some like I'm not sinister undertones, but I guess something's gonna show up, or I again like what I mentioned last week. I'm hoping there'll be some cool fight scenes or like
but what's the conflict here? There's no
some over
conflict.
some over the top like creature thing. Well, we don't know yet. That's the thing. There's probably like secrets to the the upside down castle, or like aside from like it being super difficult to like restore. There's probably another reason of like maybe there's a curse. You know what I mean? Like it could be like Dracula's moon. I mean stuff like that. So it could be a lot of things really.
That's a fair point. And
Mm.
again, we're still hell, it's chapter 6. We're still super early, so in
For
terms
sure.
of, bigger antagonists and,
Yeah, we're not
evil
gonna see
groups
that.
and stuff like that, we're not at that stage yet. We're definitely
No.
like, kind of fledgling stuff. The one thing I forgot to mention that sorry, I'm kind of going in a circle here that I want to come back to is another reason that I was thinking this could be a build king is on the page where they kind of give you the internal architecture of it, which by the way, I'm actually loving these kind of X-ray views that we're getting that kind of
Yeah.
try to like establish visually how everything is laid out and try and give you, sense of the place because, similarly to the house beast, when you look at it from the outside, you kind of just frame it in your mind, but then he's like, no, 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 no. This is not what that looks like. This is what it actually kind of contains and looks like. And I love that. Anyway, sorry. Within that page where we get that reveal, it actually mentions that it was over 10,000 years ago that the castle was built. It was never registered with the building authorities, and it's like, oh, it must have been done by a very skilled builder. So again, that's where I kind of go to the whole idea, I guess, of build masters, and it has to be kind of like a build king, just due to all the mystery and the unknowns
Yeah.
kind of surrounding it.
Like it all lines up because like stuff we just don't know, and then like well we don't know this, so why wouldn't definitely makes sense. I could definitely see that. Or probably it could be an early version of a Bill King, like when they just left to ruin. Because we've seen some of them and they're like massive and they're all different. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
and maybe a lot of them haven't been discovered. That's for
No,
sure.
that's a good point. I would think so too. Kind of like again Toriko or maybe Hunter kind of situation where a lot of the world's yet to be revealed. Right, you got like dark continents and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, Admittedly, I don't have, I guess, too much more that I want to kind of focus on, but I do want to come back to Nana. I don't want to completely ignore him because he's only there for a couple pages. I like that he kind of, I guess, was slacking in quotations, right? He's supposed to be on a build site, but he's too kind of busy worrying after the kids.
Yeah.
And we get a name drop for another character of Kopu or Kopu. I don't know. It's Copu.
Yeah, the guy
So
he's talking to.
yeah, on the communicator. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if that's going to turn out to be one of the characters that we saw in the image for the carpenters. I'm wondering if that's going to end up being one
Yeah.
of those people.
Maybe. We definitely. I mean, he's above Nana, right? So we'll see like what's his job and stuff like that. So and then we're probably gonna see like his weapon and everything. I mean, what for me in this chapter, I mean, all I could really think of like I wonder, does King Bat has a true intention, stuff like that. I mean, first of all, he's a bat. I mean, he's a vampire. Like, that's just weird. But
There's some evilness. Well, it's also interesting too because what throws me off is he's obviously not human, but she says she is, and then when we get that little flashback thing at the end, right? She's like clearly calling him Papa and all that stuff, and he wants to see her succeed in her goal to be a designer, but again, there's some information that we're kind of missing, and we'll just have to get a better sense of it. The other thing that I'm kind of wondering is, I mean, Renga's reaction to the dragon it seems like a little over the top, if you know what I mean. Like,
I disagree with that. Well,
really?
why you say that?
I don't know, because I almost feel like maybe it's the reader perspective versus the in-world perspective, but he almost seems like shocked, but because he's like, oh my god, it's like we're living the tooth, and I was kind of like, well, yeah, you know.
Well, you have to think about it this way. I mean, he hasn't been outside of the island. You know what I mean?
Good point. Good point. You're right. You're
So
right.
we're seeing it through their eyes also as readers. So
yeah, that's a good call. All right.
Yeah.
Statement retracted. So yeah, honestly, not a lot kind of going on in this chapter. We're, I guess, slowly setting up for the redevelopment project. We'll have to see what ends up being, I guess, the more motivation factors or the more motivating factors, and what's going to kind of be the drive to get through this, because other than the fact that Tonkachi needs to build a house, there's not crazy amounts going on,
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's just very dialogue heavy, very like moving the like it's not a stop. It is moving the thing forward, and I want to say it's probably taking its time too, so to speak. If you want to think, I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's taking.
so too.
I think the pacing is not bad. It's just like it's a like and he's done this before where like he's just like a lot of stuff he wants to introduce, which is funny because like we said before, and I think you agree, like this is more catered towards I want to say a younger audience, right? You would think, especially with some of the design and some like the over the topness, so
well, like Oda does a lot of info dumping too, right, in One Piece. So maybe it's kind of in the vein of that. I don't know. It's also very possible that attention spans could be better than where this is being targeted versus the West, right? Because I know over here we got attention spans of 0. So I think things like that go a long way into playing with it. Also, I think just having the notoriety as a previously established mangaka that's killed it with their series, it also just kind of allows you to do that a little bit more, if you know what I mean, because people know your work already, so you have a little bit more leniency from a reader's perspective in terms of how much you can kind of get away with. And he's definitely kind of walking that line a little bit here, but it's cool. Again, we got introduced to a cool dragon. There's a cool castle that's in the Dragon's Tooth. There's a lot of interesting things that are going on, and again, I similarly to you, I'm going to keep saying this every chapter, I'm just really excited to continue to see where the world's going to go and the crazy kind of structures that we get introduced to, because not knowing what's around the next corner is so much like a part of what makes these types of series fun. So going forward, I'm just going to enjoy seeing more of that.
Yeah, I could definitely say that because it's just like, oh man, like what we think of next, like wow, like this is that, like that, like that's a I can't even think of like a thing to like come up with because it's just like imagination is very like out there when it comes to certain aspects of the story. So
by the way, I'm kind of wrapped everything up. The only question that I want to spark some discussion on before we wrap up this review is, it's interesting because Quirk almost seems like she's not surprised that Tonkachi couldn't do anything to the house. She seems sad about it, but there's a lack of surprise. Why? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm pretty sure that, like, she knows, like, this. I mean, she probably knows the true intentions, or not true intentions, but like maybe there's a true mystery to the house. You know what I mean? Just like how similar there was like a true mystery, like there's like the house beast, even though there's probably still some stuff we don't know about. So because she grew up in this place, so and what, like a lot of people try to fix it or something like that, or just kind of failed. I mean, it's breaking apart. So I don't know. She probably knows, but for me, it's more like King Bat, or like he's hiding something. So
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. We'll have to see where it pans out.
for sure.
All right, awesome, man. Let's close the book, no pun intended, on Build King for
Yep.
the week, and we'll transition to My Hero Academia.